is the name of the music we are listening to. Eling Eling means to be reminded or to remember. When this piece is played in Wayang, the Shadow Puppet Theatre, a wise, old, bearded, fat man shares his wisdom with a young undergraduate or graduate hero or heroine. In Wayang, teaching is reminding. To teach means to help people to remember. Eling also means to be aware. Teaching in Wayang is making people aware, perhaps of something that they have forgotten or haven't paid attention to. One needs to be aware of origins and ends. This evening we played Eling Eling here to be reminded of their beginnings of our group, which has just completed one window, the Javanese cycle of 8 years. More than 8 years ago, our gamelan instruments arrived from Java and a group formed. Speaking of instruments, we also want to remember someone who was instrumental in making all this possible. At the moment of origin, in the gamelan book of Genesis, Professor Ray Ileto was the supremo, the lead guitar of the Southeast Asian Studies program, and took up the struggle to bring gamelan instrument to our program. 8 years later, we are playing Eling Eling to be reminded and to say thank you. One needs to be aware of origins and ends. Professor Ileto is retiring this year, and it is probably his last time at the Southeast Asia Night as an NUS professor. But as people who know Javanese music, such as my students, will understand, the gong marks a point which is both the end and the beginning of a cycle, and a point of return. As Professor Ileto is retiring, something continues. The presence of gamelan at NUS in the form of our group, but also in the form of students who learn to play gamelan. Every year, and there have been over the years more than thousands of them. Eling Eling should remind us today that something that started 8 years ago is still alive today. One thing that we need to remember is that for Professor Ileto, acquiring a gamelan wasn't a random act of generosity to make a few people happy or a way to increase student numbers, but it was part of something larger, of a vision of Southeast Asian Studies program in Southeast Asia, which is not primarily about looking at the region through the lenses of disciplines and theories developed in Europe and America from above, from a distance, but it is about learning both Southeast Asia from below, from the ground. By being here, being connected to the region and experiencing it. Being touched by the way one is touched by music. Bringing gamelan here was only one of such initiatives. Professor Ileto was the supremo. For example, all lecturers from our program traveled as a group to Jogja to meet our counterparts in Southeast Asian Studies at the universities there, and initiate more collaboration. But this was also a way to get out of our offices and be reminded that we are in Southeast Asia. Together we ate sate kambing and many other things, visited Borobudur and Candi Sukur, attended a gamelan performance, and had an audience with the Sultan of Yogyakarta. During this trip, we discussed and began to make arrangements for, among other things, the possibility for our students to spend a semester at the Southeast Asian University, which is now a popular feature of our program and part of Professor Iwanto's legacy. Like Gamelan, a way for students to experience Southeast Asia,